What's up, people? It's your man Urban Lover coming to you once again with some more free agents. This right now, we're going to jump right into it. This got to do with your man Hassan Whiteside. And with that being said, I'm gonna go right to CBS Sports, break down the analysts, what they got to say about him. So here we go. Ooh boy, the most polarizing figure in free agency. On the one hand, a game-changing force who piles up triple doubles with blocks and render an offense inept. Incredible pick and roll finisher who can drop hammers off lobs like he's in Mario Brothers 3. On the other hand, has long stretches of immaturity and stat chasing, which has teammates at their wits' end. His actual defensive impact was poor for much of the season as Miami defensive numbers were significantly better with him on the bench. But in time, he started to grasp team concept, played with more maturity, and earned his teammate trust and affection. Hassan Whiteside will be 27 when free agency hits, so if you're signing him, you're getting him on a deal that will likely include his prime, but it also means there's not much growth left. Needs to be in a locker room with good culture and structure. And on that, you got Miami, Los Angeles Lakers, Orlando, Houston, and number 4 in Boston. Now, with that being said, I already shared with y'all, why I said the Lakers should make Hassan Whiteside priority number one. The reason why I'm saying that because number one, like I said, with Luke Walton's offensive scheme, if you look at their small ball, well, not the small ball, but if you look at Golden State Warriors, I mean Andrew Bogut. Don't get me wrong, he's a good center, but he's like I could say more of a I'll give him like a B center. You know what I mean? Like he's not top five centers. So with that being said, what I mean, they can actually sit him out, because a lot of times he don't give you that dynamic of a defensive presence. He can. I mean, he have good games where he might give you 10, 12 boards, 16 points, depending if they get him in the offense or not. But Whiteside will make that much more of a difference because he can do more on the defensive level. So while the Lakers out there shooting threes, because keep in mind, if the Lakers using that triangle motion offense where the three ball is their biggest gameplay, they're going to need somebody to rebound. That's why I told people the reason why Draymond Green gets so many rebounds is because there's a lot of missed shots. You know what I mean? You got a lot of, balls bouncing off the rim. So, and that being said, if they go inside, it's a high percentage compared to them shooting threes. So, with that being said, Hassan Whiteside will be killing, especially remember at Miami, he only played 29 minutes. Here with the Lakers, he'll actually play probably like anywhere 36, 40 something minutes. So 40, I'll say about 30, between 36, 42, 45 minutes, depending on who they playing, whatever it may be. But here his stats will go up tremendously because these dudes they're gonna like the bang the three and they're gonna expect him to rebound, block shots if any time offender try to come in there to score, whatever it may be. So with that being said, even though a lot of teams are going after him, I'm gonna stick with these two teams, the Lakers and the Celtics. And the reason why, because these are the two biggest teams that actually are going after Whiteside right now, besides Miami. So with that being said, this is coming from Jana Dela Cruz, and this is News Brief. And with that being said, it say a lot of teams are all up on Hassan Whiteside for free agency, determined to get the Miami Heat center. But NBA trade rumors claim that fighting intensely for the big man are the Los Angeles Lakers and the Boston Celtics. Basketball insiders, this is what they had to say. However, believe that Whiteside, who is considered two of the most in-demand free agents this offseason, you know what the other one is, KD, Kevin Durant, for those that don't know what the KD stand for, gets a lot of interest beyond those two suitors. However, the Lakers are expected to bring it all in as he deemed one of the most important targets of the franchise and is part of an ambitious plan for his roster next season. The Inquisitor says that the Lakers are looking to acquire both Whiteside and Oklahoma City Thunder superstar Kevin Durant, who becomes a free agent for the first time. Salary cap will not be a problem for the purple and gold. Now, with that being said, I did put a video up saying that KD might re-sign with Oklahoma City for 1 year. Now, keep this in mind. If they do get Whiteside, it could pull KD in. I'm more of a like, why would you get KD if you're getting Brandon Ingram? So Brandon Ingram had to sit on the bench and watch KD, play. So he gonna sit on the bench for years. Why this guy developed. It could be, it can go both ways. Like you get a number two pick and you sitting them on the bench, and you letting KD start, which is nothing wrong with that because KD is a bona fide superstar. But I would say why waste it when you got Ingram? You know what I'm saying? Like I would usually utilize that money for other role players. I would get Whiteside and I would just use that money for the role players. But this the front office. They want to make sure they please the fan because you got a fan base out there that's still like, let's get KD Whiteside, and then next year Westbrook. He's a free agent. He definitely wants to come to LA. So you have Westbrook, KD, and Whiteside, which is still a good squad. But my thing about that is like now, I guess D'Angelo will be pushed to the two, while Westbrook run the point. I don't know how that be, and I think D'Angelo Russell's game will actually fall off because Westbrook is like Westbrook and KD are like the top two options in OKC. So if they come here, that means a lot of them guys' options are going to change. They're not going to get as many shots. I don't know how it might work. I mean, it'd be good, you know what I mean. But like I said, at the end of the day, that's a different topic for a different story. So with that being said, get back to the article. However, the Celtics who own eight. I mean, excuse me for a second. All right. However, the Celtics who own 8 selections for the NBA draft. Move this out the way. Pop-ups, man. Anyway, sorry about that, guys. However, the Celtics who own 8 selections for the NBA draft this year are also expected to fight a long, hard fight in bringing Whiteside in by trading one of their to his team. The Miami Heat, on the other hand, already eyes on various players that can be replacement for Whiteside. The franchise is expecting to go for the likes of Al Horford, Joakim Noah, Dwight Howard, and also Al Jefferson. Apart from Whiteside possible exit via the trade, the Miami Heat has a lot to worry about. And then they talk about Miami Heat going on about Chris Paul's health. And then about the only ones they got, the only ones that guaranteed they're going to sign right now is Dwayne Wade and Josh Richardson. I mean, it goes on and on and on. But with that being said, like I said before, the Lakers are basically saying, look, we throwing money at this guy. We're going to try to get this guy. And a lot of people say that, I wouldn't play the max for Whiteside. Me personally, like I said again, I will pay the max for Whiteside. You got to look at the idea. Like, I know he played for Sacramento, but let's talk about Sacramento. Sacramento didn't use his skill set. You know what I mean? There's a lot of players that went to Sacramento that just fell off. I mean, Sacramento, I don't even want to talk about them guys, man. I feel bad for that, for that franchise. I hope they get it together. I think they've been just cursed, man. I mean, they come close again back in when they played the Lakers. I'm not gonna get in that discussion about that. But anyway, Whiteside been in the league for 2 years. This year he really took off. I mean, he's starting to get the concept. Remember, he's still kind of still learning the NBA ways. Even though he's 27, but he got pretty much. He took off this year. He's still young. He's still, like a lot of people say, he's immature. I don't know. I'm not in the locker room, so I'm only going by what articles and reporters say. So I don't try to feed into too much of that. I'm hoping that that the Lakers do get him. I mean, because that'll be a big upgrade for us on the defensive end. And like I said, I'm gonna have a little video come out with him and Al Horford and what I think between those two. Now, Boston going after everybody, man. Danny Ainge ain't playing. He wants to put this team over the map. You know what I mean? Like I said, one day about Danny Ainge, he's going to get rid of as much as he need in order to put better players in position to come to that team. I mean, you did it with Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce, and Rondo. He got rid of all those guys. Okay, they're done. Let me go ahead and start rebuilding. They only like a couple pieces away of being pretty much decent. So they're going to go after whatever they feel is doing their heart they can. Like I said, they got like 8 draft picks, man. They got a lot of picks to just throw around, man. So they're going to be trying their best to grab whoever they can. And like I said, they still going after KD. They definitely want Whiteside. So they basically going at almost the same players that the Lakers are going at, right? They like, look, hey, man, we had this battle back in the day between Larry Bird and Magic. We're going to have this battle right now in the free agency also. So it's funny to see these two legendary teams go at it. Well, organizations go at the same exact players to build up their team to put them over the hump. So with that being said, with Whiteside, it's kind of sketchy. Like, he wants to stay in Miami, but he wants to also make sure Miami financially take care of him. And that, like I said before, I believe that that's his agent talking, and it's not really so much Whiteside, because he did put up a tweet where you see him picking up Dwayne Wade, and he said, teammates, it matters, or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, got his back, whatever it may be. So Pat Riley is a good, he's a good, GM. So let's give him that much prop, guys. I mean, even though we want Whiteside so bad, like I said, the only way I can see Whiteside coming in if his agent talk some sense and say, listen, man, the Lakers can give you 25, 26, whatever it may be, million, where Miami only can give you 16 to 18 million. Yeah, they got, they got it where you ain't got to pay no tax and stuff like that. And they can they can actually, give you more the next year on that contract, where the Lakers can do, the Lakers can give you more up front right now. So with that being said, he said you got to think about the injury too. What if you get hurt and you're not as who you were the next year? So you got to put all that in perspective. So his agent going to talk to him and try to get him to take the better deal. And I'm telling you, his agent is going to push the point like, listen, right now you got Boston, LA trying to go after you. LA going to throw the most money out there because LA got the most money to actually spend. So that's why I say LA is the top priority. if it was for him to leave. He'll probably go to LA because we got a young core. You got to think about Luke Walton. If Golden State, I'm telling you like this, guys, if Golden State win this series, this final series, don't be surprised if you do see players come to us because they got Luke Walton. Remember, Luke Walton was there when he won 30-something games. You know what I mean? I still think Luke Walton should have been the coach of the year, but, he's a assistant coach, so it don't fall in that category. But with Luke Walton coming here and the Lakers are showing promise, like, they banging the threes, they working on their game, they staying in Twitter, they doing this, they doing that. It's kind of cultivating for a lot of other players to come in. Also, on top of that, keep this in mind: when D'Angelo Russell got drafted, he put on there he wear the number 0. I'm re-paraphrasing how I went. I forgot how he put it, but he said in there, he said, "I'm wearing 0 because nobody can guard me." And Whiteside tweeted out, "I like this guy because of, his attitude." So I'm telling you, at the end of the day, even though he says that he likes to be in Miami, he loves the city, stuff like that, but he definitely want to make sure Miami take care of financially. When you say that, when you say I'm hoping that Miami, well, when he basically say that I want them to take care of me financially, he's letting you know it's more of a money aspect. It's not anybody gonna say they love their team, this and that, but when it comes to money, business wise, I can see him moving. I know Miami fans will get mad, they're gonna come at me, attacking me. It is what it is, man. It's a business. You know what I mean? Like I said, one thing about Miami is that they're a good team. They always think ahead. So they got a plan B. Al Horton, Joakim Noah, Dwight Howard, and Al Jefferson. So they already thinking ahead. Like, if we don't get Whiteside, we got to get a center. So they already thinking ahead, already putting their foot out. And I think the best person for them to get is either Joakim Noah or Al Jefferson. I really would go with Joakim Noah because Joakim Noah is a good defensive presence inside, but I can see Minnesota trying to grab him. But once I get to Joakim Noah, I'm gonna break that down to you guys as well. So with that being said, me seeing Hassan Whiteside go somewhere else from a scale of 1 to 10, I give it a 9. I really think that he's gonna go to LA. Now, with him going back to Miami from a scale of 1 to 10, I give it a 7. Why? That's only depends on if Miami can make moves to actually give him enough money to keep him happy. If they can get 20 mil and Dwayne Wade take 10 mil, which I doubt it because Dwayne Wade, not saying Dwayne Wade is on his last leg, but he's getting close to retirement. He's going to want the big pay, just like Kobe. You know what I mean? I done got y'all 3 rings, since I've been here. You know what I mean? So I done did enough for y'all, so now y'all guys got to reward me back. And a lot of, Miami fans say, well, he don't deserve it, this and that. Nah, man. You know what I mean? If you want a job and you've been there for 10 to 15 years and you constantly, every time they had a pay cut and all that, you was one of the guys that was humble enough to step up and say, okay, cut my pay or don't give me a raise these 2 years. Go ahead and, go ahead and bring some other bring some other workers in so we can make this company work. Once the company get up, and they done, met their accomplishments, they're going to reward you. That's the whole point of showing love to a person who showed the love to you in the beginning. If they don't reward them, that's bad business, man, because then that's going to reflect against Miami when they go to, get free agent stuff like that. People are going to look at that, especially if Dwayne Wade goes to Twitter and goes to, like, conference and stuff and talk about it. So with that being said, like I said, this your boy Urban. This is on Hassan Whiteside. Like, share, subscribe. You guys have a blessed day. Be safe out there. Take care.